It was the heist of the century, the 20th century, creating a mystery that lingers into the 21st. Erin Moriarty of 48 Hours tells the tale.
Entering the Isabells Stewart Gardner Museum in Boston is like taking a step back in time. The lavish courtyard and art-filled rooms, designed by its namesake and founder, remain much as she left them a century ago, except for 13 empty spaces. When you walk by here, I mean, you have all of these wonderful pieces,
Yes.
and then you see this empty panel.
It makes me want to weep. It's time to bring them back.
The FBI tonight is looking for two thieves who made off with a motherlode of art treasure from a Boston museum overnight.
On March 18, 1990, Anne Hawley received news no museum director wants to hear.
I think it was around 8 o'clock in the morning. I was called by the security director here. He told me there had been a theft.
Did you have any idea of how big a theft it would turn out to be?
No, not until I got into the room.
Earlier that morning at 1:24 a.m., two men dressed as police officers arrived at the museum's employee entrance.
The guard answered the buzzer, and the thieves said Boston police were responding to a disturbance. And based on that alone, the guard buzzed them into the building.
The current museum security chief, Anthony Amore, describes what happened next.
The two phony police officers said, "Gentlemen, this is a robbery."
The night watchman who let them in, Rick Abbott, was tied up in the basement along with another guard. 81 minutes later, the thieves had pulled off the priciest art heist in history, walking out with an estimated $500 million worth of art.
Oh, it was devastating. I say it's like having a death in the family. I mean, these works are so important.
Gone, the only known seascape painted by Rembrandt.
And it had such motion in it. It's the turbulence of the sea and the movement of the ship were so agitated and so strong that it just drew you towards it.
Gone, Rembrandt's A Lady and Gentleman in Black, as well as a self-portrait etching.
I think that they were targeting Rembrandt's, and then they decided to just take some other things.
The thieves may have thought Landscape with an Obelisk was also a Rembrandt. It was actually painted by one of his students, but they took it anyway. Also gone, 5 works by Degas. Manet's Chez Tortoni, an ancient Chinese beaker, and a Napoleonic flag finial. But the most heartbreaking loss for Hawley was a painting by Vermeer, one of only 36 in existence.
This was Vermeer's The Concert, and Gardner set it up so you could sit in this chair and just contemplate the picture.
The thieves appeared to know nothing about art, leaving behind more valuable pieces and using box cutters to remove paintings from frames.
The thieves pulled them off the wall, shattered the glass, and cut the paintings out.
So this is one of the paintings that had actually been
right.
cut out of the frame. FBI Special Agent Jeff Kelly.
These guys were burglars. They would have just as easily stolen a car or stolen somebody's TV. They didn't know what they were doing. These were not sophisticated art thieves. They woke up the next morning after the Gardner heist, I believe, unwittingly realizing that they'd just committed the heist of the century.
But apparently, they were smart enough. More than 25 years later, no arrests have been made, and none of the art has been recovered.
When people say, well, why is it so important? I said, well, you know, imagine if you could never hear Beethoven's 7th Symphony again, ever. Well, our Vermeer is certainly at that level of creation, and so is The Storm in the Sea of Galilee. I mean, these works are major, iconic works of Western culture, and to have them removed, just rent from the culture is a crime. It's really a crime against civilization.
Since 2002, Special Agent Kelly has run the FBI task force that continues to search for the art.
There's nothing like it. There's nothing that compares to a group of individuals bluffing their way into a museum by posing as police officers, spending 81 minutes inside the museum with a comfort level that's unheard of, taking their time, being deliberate, and disappearing into the night. These thieves definitely had inside information.
Which brings us back to the security guard who let the thieves in, Rick Abbott.
If the police come to your facility and ask for admission and you haven't called for them, you then call the police and check if they were actually deployed there.
And he didn't do it.
No.
Abbott, then a 23-year-old musician moonlighting as a guard, quickly fell under suspicion, especially after investigators discovered something perplexing in one of the galleries called the Blue Room. This is where the biggest mystery is, right?
Yes.
Did the thieves come in here?
Well, at some point in the evening, somebody came in here and stole a painting off of our wall.
Monet's Chez Tortoni was the painting taken from the Blue Room. The problem is, the museum's motion detectors tracked no movement at all in that room during the entire 81-minute heist.
At no time between 1:24 a.m. and 2:45 a.m. did any alarm on this floor even get tripped.
The only person who had been in the room that night was Rick Abbott when he made his nightly rounds.
Someone went in that Blue Room that night, and the only one that went in that room that night was the security guard, according to the motion sensor printouts.
So, Jeff, doesn't that mean he had to have been involved in this?
It's one of the aspects of this case that we continue to investigate.
But he's never been arrested?
No.
Abbott has always denied he had anything to do with the robbery. Now, is it possible he assisted without knowing he did? That he was just a talker and gave all that information?
Oh, that's definitely possible, too. It's quite possible that somebody was just talking at a party or at a bar at a turn, and someone took note of what they were saying.
But just this summer, a video was released by the Justice Department that raises even more questions about the former security guard. Surveillance footage appears to show Abbott just 24 hours before the heist, allowing an unidentified man to enter the closed museum. Was this a trial run? Rick Abbott now lives a quiet life in Vermont. We went there hoping he might be willing to talk about that video.
Hi. Oh, hi, Rick. I'm Erin Moriarty with CBS News Sunday Morning.
He wasn't.
Will you
But
leave
the
talking to
fact
me?
is, even if he was involved in the robbery, he can't be prosecuted. The statute of limitations has run out.
If somebody was involved in the original theft of the paintings, they could not be charged for it. And as far as possessing it, if they came forward and wanted to return them, they would not be arrested.
You just want the art back.
We just want the art back.
But where is it? Why was it taken? And most important, how do they get it back? That is all authorities want to know now. And they believe this man holds the key. That's coming up.
So what's happened in the more than 25 years since? Once again, Erin Moriarty with Chapter 2.
How does $500 million worth of art simply vanish? The mystery of the Gardner Museum heist has tantalized investigators for so long, it has even etched itself into pop culture.
So, Burns, do you want to explain how this miracle of measure and harmony got into your collection?
Well,
But as FBI Special Agent Jeff Kelly knows all too well, life doesn't always imitate, well, The Simpsons.
The people that took these paintings don't have them hidden in some private art gallery, sitting back and just reveling in their beauty. These paintings are most likely up in an attic somewhere or in a basement, not being viewed by anyone.
Investigators have long believed that members of organized crime pulled off the heist. The idea was to either hold the art for ransom or trade it for reduced prison sentences. So over the years, the FBI and the Boston Police Department scoured the criminal underground, but came up with nothing.
I would say in the last The last 10 years, I've probably had at least a dozen or so moments where we've really looked at each other like, this one's it, this is it, and they haven't panned out.
These need to be holding the spot for the works to come back.
The most dramatic close call, says museum director Ann Hawley, happened in the summer of 1997.
I first found out by reading it in the Boston Herald.
In bold headlines, the Boston Herald announced that one of its investigative reporters had gotten a glimpse of the missing Rembrandt seascape, signature and all.
Well, it was very exciting to think that this might be the beginning of the end and lead to the return of the paintings.
Like something out of a crime thriller, Tom Mashberg was taken in the dead of night to a warehouse in Brooklyn, New York, by an antiques dealer with a criminal past, William Youngworth, who then removed a painting out of a large tube.
It was pulled out and kind of unfurled, and I was not able to touch it or really get close to it, but I was able to look at it under the beam of a flashlight. What I looked at appeared to me to be an aged painting with a lot of the earmarks of an authentic 17th century work of art.
Youngworth, who was facing unrelated theft charges, said he'd turn over the Rembrandt and other art to authorities in exchange for immunity. There was just one hitch.
The paintings are thick. They're not like fabric. They've been relined over the years.
Museum security chief Anthony Amore says the stolen Rembrandt couldn't have been rolled. So it would like crack the paint? Or?
Yeah, well, imagine trying to roll cardboard. What happens when you give it that little turn? You see this isn't going to roll.
So to bolster Youngworth's claim that he had access to the missing art, Mashberg was given paint chips as proof.
And when I looked at them, I thought, oh, these are cigarette ashes. What is this? This is ridiculous. No one's ever going to get any information out of this.
But the chips were analyzed. And here's where the story takes another dramatic turn. They weren't from the Rembrandt, but they may have come from a Vermeer. What's more, the chips happen to be the same color, known as Red Lake, as the blanket in the stolen painting, The Concert. Wouldn't that indicate that that had to come from the Vermeer at the Gardner?
I would definitely, I'm not disputing that, yeah.
But the analysis took time, and by then, Youngworth had stopped cooperating. In 2002, when Jeff Kelly took over the investigation, he tried to pressure Youngworth into talking.
I can't tell you what he knows or what he does not know. I can just tell you that the paint chips appear to have been from a Vermeer, and despite the offers of immunity and the reward, the painting has not been recovered.
Youngworth, now 56 years old and still selling antiques in Massachusetts, refused to talk with us. And the FBI seems to have shifted its focus.
For the first time, we can say with a high degree of confidence, we've determined that in the years since the theft, the art was transported to Connecticut and to the Philadelphia area.
In March 2013, investigators revealed new details. They believe the original thieves are dead, but what they didn't share then was the name of the man they're convinced can lead them to the art, Robert Gentile.
I believe that he knows either where some of the artwork is or could point us in the right direction.
Gentile, 79 years old and ailing, was reputedly a member of the Philadelphia La Cosa Nostra. On federal wiretaps, he is reportedly heard talking about the art, and a search of his Connecticut home in May 2012 uncovered a list of the missing pieces and their market values.
I certainly concede that list is damning.
But Ryan McGuigan, Gentile's lawyer, says investigators are wrong. He says his client never had the art, but may have tried to con art collectors into thinking he did.
It is a quote that he said many, many times. I got caught in my own trap.
When he says that, what does he mean by that?
That he thought to himself that he could fake people out into getting some money.
Gentile is in federal custody facing a long prison term on an unrelated gun charge. The art could be his get-out-of-jail-free card, not to mention the $5 million reward he would be eligible to collect.
I tell him time and time again, is there anything that you're not telling me, Bobby? Because, you know, if there is, you'll be really comfortable in Aruba. And he said, I got nothing, kid.
And that is where the trail goes cold. It's been over 25 years, so does that mean this was the perfect crime?
No, this was the antithesis of the perfect crime.
It's still gone.
And nobody got any money off of these paintings. And that's really the perfect crime means that you get away with it and you profit from the crime. And I don't believe that anybody has profited at all from this crime.
But many have been hurt by it. What do you personally miss the most?
Well, you know, this I appreciate, but I loved the Vermeer.
Anne Hawley still desperately hopes that someone will call the museum with information so she can see the priceless works back on museum walls before she retires at the end of the year.
Do you fear that the concert will never be seen
again? I can't go there. Because I really think these works are out there, and that somehow, if we can just appeal to whomever is holding them, that we can get them back.